You tuned in to Just Fly with Melody, and today is one of those days where I wish I didn't have a story to tell. I have been very vocal here on the channel about the crazy driving by truck drivers. It happens far too often, and today tragedy struck. A major accident occurred, resulting in one death. Let's get into the story. If you've been around for a while, then you know just how much I've been very vocal about the crazy driving that happens so often here in Ghana. Not just ordinary cars, but more importantly, trucks. I don't know if they understand the power that they have on the road and the capability that they have to cause fatalities. But for some strange, odd reason, they don't grasp this concept and they are constantly driving crazy on the roads. Not only are they driving crazy on the roads, but very often they are driving with weight capacities that are far beyond what the truck can carry. There has been so many times I've been on the road and seen these trucks turned over because of the weight in which they carry. Well, today, right in front of UCC, located in Cape Coast, which is a local college, there was a major accident. But no need for me to get into the details. Let's take a look at this footage.
That's a go, man. Oh, he's gone there. He's gone there. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. Where?
And I don't know if many of you were able to recognize what we were able to recognize, but there was a person literally standing right there waiting to cross the road as the cars were also waiting to turn onto the road. And this truck just came out of nowhere, as you guys seen. I don't know if he was sleep driving, if he somehow, some way lost control of his truck because of the overload that sometimes happens, or if his tire blew out. I don't know what it was. But all I know is that there needs to be stricter measures on these trucks. In my opinion, they are not strict enough when it comes to the trucks. They are not doing their due diligence to make sure that they are ensuring that these trucks are following proper protocols when on the road. For example, as I just mentioned, there are so many trucks that drive overloaded. I'm not even a truck driver, and when I was preparing to take my permit, I had to study a manual, right? As many of us have had to do in the States to get our license. A part of that training teaches you that it takes trucks a very long time to slow down. So just don't cut in front of them because it's a very high chance that they won't be able to slow down and they can hit the back of you. We have also been taught that it is very difficult for truck drivers to see. Now, with it being 2025, that may have changed some with modern technology. I'm pretty sure they have way advanced mirrors now that gives truck drivers the capability to see. But way back when I was studying to take my permit, they emphasized the fact that trucks may not necessarily be able to see you. So when preparing to pass them, you should always maintain caution. Here in Ghana, it's like the basic things that even we drivers know about trucks, they can't even seem to grasp. I can't figure out for the life of me why these trucks speed. There has been countless times that I have been on an Accra road, either going from Accra to Cape Coast or vice versa, and these trucks are speeding, going at the highest speed rate, it seems, that they could possibly go. I would even have to brace myself like, whoa, what is happening? How are you speeding with that much weight behind you? And it takes you a long time to stop in the event of an emergency or in the event that you need to stop unexpectedly. It makes it that much more difficult when you're going at an accelerated rate of speed. How do you expect to slow down unexpectedly? And then they have no enforcement when it comes to loads. These trucks are loaded to the very top of the highest point that they could possibly be loaded on the truck. Sometimes these trucks are so full and overloaded that they're literally leaning as they're going down the road. And I'm always wondering, where is truck enforcement? Where is a team that is put together on these roads to ensure that these trucks are not being overloaded? You know, in the States, we have like the little weigh-in stations where truck drivers, if they see the flashing lights, they have to pull over into the station and get weighed to make sure they're not overweight. Why doesn't that exist here in Ghana? For reasons such as what we just witnessed in this accident. I don't know if one of the issues with that particular truck was the weight capacity, but I do know for a fact that weight capacity on these trucks is a huge issue because I have personally witnessed it time and time again. There needs to be police enforcement or some type of enforcement put together specifically for truck drivers to be monitoring their weight capacity. Also, another major issue is that oftentimes these drivers get behind the wheel and they are exhausted. They are driving on very little sleep. So many times you see drivers behind the wheel here in Ghana dozing off because they are not getting enough sleep. Not only the drivers, but the companies need to be held accountable for actions such as this because it can be very deadly, as we just witnessed. There needs to be some type of a log that keeps track of these drivers' rest schedules, and it needs to be documented, and there needs to be an audit on those documents very frequently to ensure that not only the drivers, but the company is adhering to this enforcement and making sure that these drivers are getting the proper rest. Because we all know that driving while tired is the equivalent of driving while intoxicated, and both can have severe and possible deadly consequences. And here in Ghana, it's like so many people are just more concerned about making money, making a living for themselves and being able to provide for their family, that they don't think about the consequences of dangers as a result of their negligence, of not ensuring that something as simple as making sure your truck isn't overloaded on the road. They're very dismissive to things such as this, maybe in the back of their mind thinking it can never happen or it will never be them. But just as in this situation, I'm sure that driver had the same attitude that it could never happen, it can never be me because I am a good driver. But you never know that slip of chance, that tables turn and it will be you. The government has got to step in and do something immediately about these trucks because they are a huge danger. Trucks on the road is like the ultimate weapon. When I'm driving, whether here in Ghana or in the United States of America, if I see a big truck, I am getting out of the way. I even had an accident with an 18-wheeler. At the time, I was living in Houston, Texas, going about my very own business, and I was driving for Uber long before I even thought about content creation, right? So I'm just on my way to work, minding my very own business, driving down the freeway in Houston, Texas, when all of a sudden, all I felt was the car spinning out of control in the middle of the freeway in Houston, Texas. And if anyone has ever been to Houston, Texas, then you know how crazy and big them freeways are. And here I was spinning out of complete control. I had no idea what happened. All I knew was I was spinning and yelling and screaming and praying to God all at the same time to spare my life. My car stopped just minutes short of hitting the guardrail and possibly going over the bars to the freeway. After exiting the crash, the only thing that I remember doing is giving thanks to God. I was just praising over and over and over and over again because that could have been the end of my life. Meanwhile, I had kids at home expecting my return, waiting for me to come back. But what if that wasn't the case on that day? What if I would have lost my life? When I exited the car, there were many bystanders around that were able to attest to the events that had unfolded and was even able to fill me in because I was so confused as to what had just transpired. So the 18-wheeler was in the inner lane and I was in the outer lane, but on the side of the 18-wheeler. There was a car behind me And the car behind me told me that the 18-wheeler, I guess without seeing me, maybe I was in his blind side or what, I don't know, but he went to go get over. And at that time when he went to go get over, he hit my car, and that is what caused it to spin out of control. And I will say, he pulled over. He was a very nice guy. He apologized and he admitted that, yes, I was at fault. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. So being in the midst of these trucks and driving with them on the road is very dangerous. And I say all the time, they need to have their own road. They don't need to be on the road with us because they are way too big. Why a private road for them doesn't exist, I don't know, but they need to work that out. In the United States, I feel like while accidents do happen, truck drivers there are way much more conscious on driving than they are here in Ghana. Here in Ghana, it's no rules. They just do whatever they want to do. And how many times do we have to keep seeing and hearing stories such as this before enforcement actions are taken to ensure the safety of civilians on the road? And not only the safety of civilians, but truck drivers as well, because they are putting their own lives in danger each and every time that they're getting on that truck and not checking mechanical issues before beginning their route. They are putting their lives in danger each and every time they get in that truck knowing that it is overloaded. They are putting their lives in danger each and every time that they are speeding down the freeway at the highest speed rate that they could possibly go, knowing that it takes much longer for them to slow down all of that weight. And my biggest fear here in this moment is that nothing is done and that these stories only continue to happen more and more. And that is something that I'm hoping and praying that we don't have to see here in Ghana. Here you have this very beautiful day in Ghana, all of the people involved were just going about their merry way, never expecting that a tragedy like this would happen to them. Can you imagine just running an errand, minding your very own business, maybe even jamming to your music, talking to your kids, forbid if there were any in the back, and then boom, all of that ends. It is a sad, sad story. It has been reported that there has been one fatality and the other parties involved have been listed in critical condition in this moment. I speak healing to them, I speak restoration to them, and I speak life into them, that this will not be their end, but it will only be a new beginning, not just for them, but for change to happen here in Ghana concerning the trucking industry. That is it for today's video. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. My ebook is almost complete and I cannot wait to share it with all of you. It has so many impactful stories and all of the wisdom that I have been able to learn here in Ghana. I have put it all inside of this ebook to potentially help you avoid a situation such as this and so many other situations that I have personally had to encounter here in Ghana. But I have learned all of the hard lessons so that you don't have to. I am more than certain that this ebook is going to be dropping this Monday, and I am so excited to spread all of the wisdom and knowledge that I have learned here in Ghana with you all. So you don't have to face some of the challenges that I had to face. You will have the ultimate guide of how to navigate Ghana scam-free. I will see y'all on the next video.